Hi, this is Dr. Dave, and today we will be talking about Stage 2 of the Understanding by Design template. If you remember, during Stage 1 of the Understanding by Design template, we talked about identifying desired results. So we talked about the course and unit, what it was that the unit needed to cover, what the big idea of the unit was. We talked about the standards and competencies and where we got those from. We also talked about what the student would be able to do with that information in the future, so our transfers. We talked about the meanings that needed to be picked up during this particular unit, so the essential questions, the understandings, and finally we had our acquisition. So what is the knowledge and what are the skills that the student needs to acquire during this class? Right now though, we are going to move on to Stage 2, where we take those goals of the course, and now what we're going to do is to determine the acceptable evidence for if those goals have been obtained. So the very first thing that we are going to do is to determine what the acceptable evidence is for the performance tasks. So the performance tasks are going to be the bigger projects that we have the students do that allow us to really look to see if they understand those big picture ideas that we talked about in Step 1. So we are looking to see if they can take the general information, the facts that they have learned, and then actually use those under new circumstances. So can they use what they have learned in these new situations? Can they demonstrate their understanding of the information in these new situations? And this is primarily going to be for those items that we had under transfer and for the items that we had under essential questions and the understandings. We can then put the transfer goal codes and the meaning goal codes into where it says code here, and then that will allow us to really identify which performance tasks are meeting which desired results. Under performance tasks, we will be putting in how the students actually demonstrate those goals. And then right next to that we have evaluative criteria. So this is going to be the general criteria that will be used in each of these performance tasks to determine if the desired results have actually been met. So as an example, let's say that we are using a paper for our project. For our performance task, we would want to specify what they're going to do in this paper, how those things meet up with our desired results in the form of those transfer goals and meaning goals, and again, the general criteria by which we would grade that paper. So we would not be putting in things like italicization for journal titles in the APA references. That's much too specific. Instead, under evaluative criteria, maybe we have something about meeting APA standards. The next portion of Stage 2 is to provide the other evidence. So this would be the evaluation that is covering most of your skills and most of the knowledge that we had talked about before. So this would contain things such as the exams or quizzes. Obviously, you have to have some way to test their learning of that basic information, but it doesn't need to be necessarily a part of one of these great big performance tasks. And we would put the information in the same way, where we are giving the name of the evidence. So is this a test? Is this an observation? We would put in the skill and knowledge codes, and we would also put in what the evaluative criteria was. And finally, the form has a section for a critical assessment. So this is taking one of the performance tasks that you have already given earlier, and you are giving a rubric for exactly how you are taking the criteria that you gave for that performance task and how you are measuring that. So we would have perhaps under criteria 1, we might have APA formatting. And then under exemplary, we might say what it was that the student needed to do in order to meet the exemplary criteria. The same thing for sufficient, needs revision, and no evidence. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you would want to have a rubric for all of those performance tasks, but for this particular document, it is only asking for 1. This concludes our description of Stage 2 of the Understanding by Design template. Thanks for watching.